NFL Countdown, presented by Snickers.
Hey everybody, and welcome to week 2 of Sunday NFL Countdown. I'm Sam Ponder with Matt Hasselbeck, Teddy Bruschi, Randy Moss, and Rex Ryan. Guys, is it all right if I start with something positive today?
Yes, please.
They're desperate for something positive around here. You'll see why in a second. But let's start with that. If your team lost in week 1, there is no reason to freak out, okay? Last year, when you look at playoff teams, only 2 of the 12.
Playoffs?
I knew that was coming. Only 2 of those 12 teams actually started the season 2-0. So there's hope for just about everybody. Maybe not Miami.
Not everybody. Just about
We'll get to that later. But we want to start with today another week of headlines for Antonio Brown. He's been accused of 3 separate incidents of sexual assault as part of a civil lawsuit that was filed on Tuesday. There are no criminal charges against Brown at this time, and his accuser is scheduled to meet with the NFL tomorrow. Our Jeff Darlington has the latest developments this morning from Miami. Jeff?
Well, Sam, Antonio Brown did make the trip to Miami, and I'm told he had a very productive week of practice that leads the team to expect him to play. Behind the scenes, though, this week has been about far more than football. As Brown was preparing to sign his contract last week with the Patriots, he also faced the decision about whether to sign another contract. This one to pay his accuser more than $2 million as a settlement agreement to end a sexual assault claim. What the public didn't know, while Brown was in the news for things like finding a new helmet and frostbitten feet, he was also in settlement discussions starting in April, including 2 mediations, the first of which happened in May. That situation culminated Sunday night, and according to sources that I've spoken to, Brown was given a 10 p.m. deadline to sign the settlement agreement, or the accuser's attorney would be filing their lawsuit the following day. That's the same day Brown's contract with the Patriots would be formalized. Now, Brown did not sign it. The suit was filed 2 days later, and now what has long been a very private matter is something the league, the Patriots, and the sports world will be following very closely. And now for more on what's next, we go to Mort and Schefter.
Thanks, Jeff. Great job there. Adam, as you reported on Friday, Brown was not going to be placed on the commissioner's exempt list, which means he couldn't play but would get paid. One reason why is that the NFL Players Association has really battled the NFL hard over the last 3 years on that commissioner exempt list and other matters, and they think that has paid off in not jumping to a conclusion here without a credible process in place. Credible process would become more credible once they interview the alleged victim.
And more, that process gets underway on Monday when the NFL is scheduled to meet with Brittany Taylor, who got married this weekend. And obviously she wanted to get that out of the way before she spoke with the NFL. Now that she's married, she can sit down and basically divulge all the evidence that she has to the NFL, and the NFL could decide whether or not they can take any action against Antonio Brown. As for today, he's a part of the game plan. He made the trip. He will play against the New England Patriots. Keep in mind, it is 94-plus degrees there in Miami, so the Patriots will be rotating in a lot of different players, but Brown is in the rotation. He will be out there, and he will get his first taste as a life of the New England Patriots, Sam.
All right, thank you, guys. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of updates going forward with this. We're not anywhere near the end of it. But let's talk about just what we know today. Teddy, I want to know, as a former captain of this team, how you would handle this situation today.
Well, Sam, no longer are we talking about frozen feet and helmets now. This is as serious situation as it gets. And as a captain, a former captain of that locker room, if these accusations were true, I would want Antonio Brown removed from that locker room immediately. Antonio Brown has professed his innocence through his people, okay? But here's the confusing part. As players in that locker room, you also want to support your teammates. You want to be there for them no matter what they're going through. But that support comes from a history of relationships. All right, I've played with guys for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. Sometimes you play with a guy for almost a decade. You know a guy. You have a relationship. You know what kind of person he is, and that's trust. With Antonio Brown, he had been signed 2 days. 2 days, and all of a sudden, before probably I've even had a conversation with him, now we've got sexual assault in the conversation, and now I've got to talk to the media about this, so it's very distracting. So I wish there was more of a history that some of those players in that locker room had with him, because I can understand if they are confused whether, man, you're my teammate, and I want to support you. But, Coach, I just don't know him. They don't know him yet.
Well, and I tell you what, looking at it from the coaching perspective, you know, Bill Belichick's sitting in there, and he's confused as well. And make no mistake now, look, these are serious, serious allegations. But his job is a football coach, and he's going to lean on more qualified people than him to pass judgment on this. His job is not to be judge and jury over allegations like this, believe me. And I think he's getting criticized a little bit about, well, he's going to play this guy. But as a football coach, if a player is available to you, you're going to play him. You rely on the commissioner. You rely on other people like that, a heck of a lot more qualified and smarter than you in these situations, to give you the advice saying, hey, listen, you're not going to play this player. That's it. But when they tell you, yeah, you're playing the player, as a coach, you're doing it.
I really think that a lot of the viewers on the outside, the football fans, really looking at us as players and just listening to you guys. Yes, this is something from a player to a coach. We do take this matter serious. But one thing that I don't want the people on the outside to really get mad, because as serious as this matter is, when it comes to the game of football, if the guy is in the locker room, then it's like we move on. We don't talk really about their off-the-field problems. But if they're in the locker room and they're playing, yeah, there are a little discussions amongst us in our little groups. But nothing about the personal, a guy's personal problems gets brought up in the locker room. But from a player's perspective, it's like if the guy is in the locker room and he's playing and he's been cleared to play like Antonio Brown, then those guys are like one objective to go out there and win and then let the process handle itself. So like I say, it's a lot of people that really don't want to hear the truth when it comes to the game of football, because it's like you always hear the little slogan, the term, do your job. If the guy's in the locker room and he's been cleared to play, then basically we're going out there 53-man to do our job, and that's winning the game. And that's the way I see it today in Miami.
Yeah, and as the quarterback of the team, you mentioned it, Randy, you said it, Teddy, relationships. You guys said everything pretty well. The only thing I would possibly have to add is that when you're getting ready for a game, there is so much time and attention that is just simply in the X's and O's. Like, you almost don't even have time to let your mind go there on these, just, things that could be take you off of the game plan. You're thinking about base, you're thinking about nickels, short yardage, goal line, red zone. I know for me, when I was a quarterback, I'd go in there and I would have a call sheet, and I wouldn't even know what was going on in the outside world. Now, it's a little bit different because it's the inside world. But this is a very, very tough spot to be in as a teammate. You've heard some of the guys on the Patriots have to come out and talk about something they really don't have any information about.
Like Matthew Slater, those
and
type of
about
guys,
a guy that they don't really totally know yet. And so it's a very, very bad situation for everybody involved.
Yeah, and Sam, that's why I say also sort of next level thinking in terms of like the ones that have to speak to it in the locker room. There's a sense of irritation.
Yeah.
Irritation. Now, I've been irritated with my organization before when I was there for 13 years. Sure, so I'm not afraid to say it, but irritated with the organization and with Coach Belichick. Just a little bit, because, Coach, we feel in this locker room we can make a serious championship run, another championship run, without this player.
Right.
But you've dropped this distraction bomb right in here, and now we've got to deal with it. So hopefully this works out for him.
And what you would think would irritate everybody involved in this was the response that we saw from Antonio Brown this week, even if obviously he's saying that none of the allegations are true. But in a matter this serious, for his first response to be a video from the TB12 workout place flashing his abs, not cool with that. Because no matter what your take is on what happened here, we understand due process. We understand that we have to let the facts play out. You have to take it seriously.
Right.
And Bill Belichick has proven in the past he's all about guys taking themselves seriously and being professionals, especially in matters like this. I would just wonder what that conversation was after that video was posted.
Sure.
Still a lot more to get to in this day and a lot more updates on this one. We're actually going to talk more about the impact on the field when we get to the conversation about the Patriots and the Dolphins later in the show. But for now, let's get back to a huge slate of games in the NFL with our opening kick. Randy, we'll start with you on the Saints and the Rams rematch in LA today.
Ooh, well, now let's talk some football.
Come on, let's go.
Man,
Moving on. Here we go.
The rematch, but this time it's not in Louisiana. We taking our show on the road. Hey, Sean Payton, I know a lot of people was upset this offseason, but guess what? Defensive coordinator Wade Phillips had something for you guys. The second trip to NFC Championship. Yes, Michael Thomas got off the first meeting week 9, but I think Michael Thomas is going to have a day on the road in order to beat Sean McVay and this LA Rams team.
Randy, you talk about an NFC Championship matchup right there. Uh-oh. Is the Dallas Cowboys going to be in that conversation? We're going to find out. This young man right here had a perfect quarterback rating last week. So Dak Prescott, is it a one-week wonder, or are you really the real deal? We're going to find out. They play a much tougher defense with the Redskins.
It's a Ryan over there.
Uh-oh.
Fellas, how about Aaron Rodgers versus that Minnesota Vikings defense? Now, Rodgers is trying to stay on schedule with all these plays that are called, but there's going to have to be some magic, okay? Because Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin, these rushers will be on that spot about 5 to 6 yards behind the quarterback. He is going to have to scramble out, improvise. Those receivers are going to have to be on the same page. I can't wait to see this. Two great defenses from week 1, the Packers D and the Vikings D.
Vikings.
Let's go rematch Super Bowl 40. Yep, I said it. Didn't want to do it, but I said it. The Steelers are 0-1, trying not to go 0-2 for the first time since 2003. And guess who they got coming? Russell Wilson and company.
Uh-oh.
Russell was feeding it to tight ends and running backs last week. Can he feed the receivers this week? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, there are a lot of question marks in that game. A lot to get to at Heinz Field today. More from Pittsburgh. Fans are fired up, but maybe cautiously optimistic about what they saw out of their offense last week. Russell Wilson also trying to prove his offense can get on track.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
This is Sunday, NFL Countdown.